Teachers, why are weeks with only 2 days in them busier than weeks with 5 days in them? Here was my Tuesday. It's the last day of school before we go on Thanksgiving break. Declamations are due. It's the last day for the students to present their projects. Students are not prepared to present their projects, so they're coming in at the end of the day. 8th period, the final period of the day, students are in there and they're trying their best to learn these, to memorize them, because I have to leave right after school. My wife got a new job. I have to leave immediately after school so I can pick my children up from the babysitter. But instead, 8th period, as I'm packing up for the day, everyone that's losing their mind over Thanksgiving is in my room. So kids that are excited about the break, kids that are distraught about the break because they have some kind of family stuff going on, kids that have baggage for every single holiday, that's going on. They're coming in to talk to me about stuff. In the midst of that, we're trying to do declamations. And then I'm trying to pack up my room and get out of school. Then on Monday was my birthday, turned 41 this week. I get called into the hallway in the midst of all of this going on, and I get bombarded with a bunch of balloons and with a cake full of candles. Everyone sings happy birthday to me. I blow out the candles, take the cake back into my room. Now there's a party in my room. There's balloons and kids hitting balloons all over my room. They're having a party in my room while I'm trying to do declamations and pack up my stuff. In the midst of that, I find out that my Thanksgiving plans are no longer my Thanksgiving plans, so I'm trying to figure out new Thanksgiving plans, and grades were due, and I forgot that they were due, so I had to have all my grades in by Tuesday night at 8 p.m. with comments for every single student that had a C- or lower. And that was Tuesday. I made it. I want to talk. This is gonna work. So short week, short vlog. I want to talk about 2 quickish things this week that I think are going to bring you the most value that I can bring you. Something that might help you out before your next holiday break, and something that might help you out on Monday. Here we go. This week, all that stuff that happened on Tuesday, most of it was my fault, and I didn't set myself up for success for this week. And the reason why is I knew that 2 days for declamations was not good enough, right? It was too short of a time crunch for me to be able to get through everyone. It was also, I didn't have my grades finished, and typically when I'm mindful of the schedule, I have my grades due the week before, right? So if, let's say, grades are due on a Tuesday, I'll turn my grades off the Thursday or Friday the week before and tell the kids, like, I'm no longer accepting any work. They knew about this a week or 2 in advance. So then I, one, don't have to deal with kids that are like grade grubbing or like are doing that thing where they're begging you for extra work because their mom's gonna, like, I don't know, what did moms do? Make them eat pepper or something? Who knows? And I know I should have just thought of ahead of time that the fact that before break, kids are always melting down, right? Either it's because they're super excited or because they have something else going on at home. Maybe they don't know where Thanksgiving is coming from. Maybe they don't know where they're celebrating a holiday with, or what family members are going to be around, or maybe their dad's in jail, or maybe their mom is sick. Like, there's so many variables with all the kids that you're dealing with that, like, we can't just assume that everyone's going to go home and have this lovely holiday like we might be doing. What this reminded me of is just be mindful of what the school schedule is so I can plan accordingly. My freshman just took a unit test on Monday, which was awful because now I had to grade that unit test on Tuesday and get all the grades in by Monday or by Tuesday night. But on Tuesday, we just watched Netflix. I showed the first episode of The 100. If you've never watched this show, it's really great. It ties into Lord of the Flies, and so I'll reference that later in the year. So it's not like we just watched a show for nothing. And then I have them fill out questions like, who was the protagonist? Who was the antagonist? What was the setting? And things that we've learned already. What they don't know is I'm just trying to keep the peace. I just want kids to be calm. I don't want to try and force you to do something today. Let's just have a calm day and kind of get through it, because I get it. I get how everyone's feeling. In short, being mindful of what your schedule is, because that's going to ultimately allow you to take care of yourself and to take care of your students better in those short weeks when things are a little bit crazy in school. The other thing I want to talk about came up this week also because of declamation. So if you've been watching the vlog, you know that my students had to memorize a certain amount of Shakespeare lines and then they have to recite it to the class. And my plan this week was to like record that, and there were some really good ones, but it just it just didn't happen that week. There was something in every extra moment that required my attention, and I just couldn't get around to actually getting to that. But it did remind me of something really interesting. Someone left a comment this week asking about something to the effect of practicing. How do I approach restorative practices in my classroom if I refuse to give makeup work and if I refuse to give extra credit, which I do. I don't give makeup work or extra credit unless you have some sort of extenuating circumstance. So if someone was in the hospital, if someone had been sick, if someone had someone that passed away, like a lot of that work go and then we figure it out later. Like, I'm not here to crush you, I'm here to build you up, and however I need to do that is fine. The other part of her concern was that when students see teachers doing something for one kid or letting child be like exempt from an assignment or something like that, kids get real caught up on like, is that fair? Is that like, that's not fair, you're not being fair, you let them go, what about me? My go-to for that is always that fair isn't equal. Students don't know what someone else is going through, and I'm not willing to share that information all the time. So to give you a quick example of this, several years ago I have a student who's in a skateboarding accident, and that kid goes headfirst into an automobile, right? It's a parked car, he gets a concussion, but he was fine other than that. He goes home, he doesn't come back to school for like 3 to 4 weeks. And in that time, we get a note from the doctor saying that like he can't read for long periods of time and all of this other stuff that the doctor tells us. As I'm getting emails from home and from the kid, like, what do I have to do while I'm home? What kind of work? I think, nothing. You just ran headfirst into a car. What am I gonna do? Make you read tiny words in a book? I just exempt him of everything that he missed, right? Because in all honesty, if a student's going to fail, they're not going to come back to school, get out of a month's worth of work, and then like pass the year because of that month. If they're going to fail, they're going to fail. And if they're going to pass, they're going to pass. The least I can do is remove the strain from that student of like making them do work. It's just like when kids are sick. I never give work. If you go home early because you were vomiting all day and your mom texts me or emails me and says, what work do you want my kid to do? I don't want them to do anything. First of all, I don't want your germs all over your work and then you're handing in little spritzels of vomit on there. I don't even know if spritzel's a real word, but like, you're sick, go be sick. Or if someone died, don't worry about making up my study guide. Like, go be with your family, go have that time to deal with whatever it is that you're dealing with. So fair isn't always equal. You were in school, so you do work. Like, if that happens to you, God forbid, I will have accommodations for you as well. And I talk to the students about that and say, I am the most interested in everyone's well-being here and helping kids grow and learn the best way that I can. And that's not always going to look the same for everyone. It's just not. The second thing is teaching kids to focus on offense instead of defense. Too often, kids are concerned about how they're going to make stuff up instead of getting in front of it and making and doing well ahead of time. And so I thought of this week when I thought of doing declamations, because I had all of these kids that were coming in and they weren't ready, they didn't study the right way, they started too late, they didn't do the work ahead of time that was supposed to like help you break down your speech, help you understand what Shakespeare was trying to say in that, how your character was feeling. Look up the words that you don't know. So the word wrought, W-R-O-U-G-H-T, everyone was saying that a million different ways, and you're supposed to know how to pronounce all of these words ahead of time. So I think in those situations, it's very easy for teachers to say, nope, you have a 0. You didn't do it the right way. You didn't do it the way I told you to. You didn't practice. You should have practiced earlier. You should have come in for help. You should have did the study guide. That doesn't help anyone. Shaming kids never ever helps. What you teach kids to do in those moments is to say, yes, you have failed this assignment. You did not get it right. I'm not going to give you extra time. I'm not going to give you extra credit. I'm not going to give you another assignment that's going to make up for this assignment so that you don't fail now. But what we're going to talk about is we're going to have a very real conversation about what you did wrong, how you could have done better, and what this is going to look like the next time you have a project. And then I just break it down, like when you study, what does that look like? What does your world look like when studying? Are you in your room? Are you at the dining room table? Are you in the living room? Is the television on while you're doing this? Is your phone blowing up while you're doing this? Are you FaceTiming your girlfriend while this is happening? Is your mom making dinner and asking you about your day? You know, like, is your little brother playing with the dog? Like, there's 100 different kinds of distractions that could be going on that might need to be removed because you don't work well in that environment. If you're in your room, are you that kid that has to clean everything up in your room and you find 97 different things to do instead of doing your work? Because I know that was me when I was growing up. I'm like, oh, my bed's not made. Ooh, look, I need to dust those shelves. It's like, come on, man. All you're doing is there are too many distractions around you. So maybe staying at the library after school, maybe staying at school in a quiet classroom. Another thing kids can do, and I try to stress, is that another thing I talk to the students about is something called Parkinson's Law. And Parkinson's Law essentially says something to the effect of a task takes the amount of time that you give it. If you sit in your room and you have 5 hours free and you're studying, your studying will take 5 hours. But if you time yourself and only give yourself 30 minutes, 20 minutes, whatever it is a night that you have to get something done, you will get it done in that amount of time. And the way I break that down for them is, all of you know that if you have all day to clean your house, it will take all day to clean your house. But if your friend calls you up and says, hey, I'm thinking about coming over, I'll be there in 20 minutes, you know your house magically gets cleaned up in 20 minutes. Like, everything finds a home and you can look presentable in 20 minutes. And that's a really big point. Kids often think that studying has to take this enormous amount of time, when it doesn't. If you study right, it shouldn't take that long at all. And that's going to be different for each kid, right? Like, I had to study a lot growing up because things just didn't come to me easily, and they still don't. I have to study for a very long time. I'm a particularly slow reader. I can't just sit in a lecture and remember things that unless they're of particular importance to me. So it's about training kids how to study. So the next step might be teaching them how to effectively use note cards, how to take notes. With all of this, what you're doing is you're walking kids through what it looks like to be a good student and to do well on a project. I think the other mistake teachers often make is that we assume that kids know how to be good students. And the problem with that is, like, that's like telling someone who's overweight, well, you should eat less, you should exercise more. But if you don't know how, if no one ever taught you, you don't just start eating kale and doing sit-ups. Like, you have to know the ins and outs of how to do that. So just because you have the tools doesn't mean you know how to do the job. I think there's a huge value in slowing down and helping kids realize this is what you did wrong, this is how we're going to fix it for the next time, and then actually walking them through. Like, you are their personal trainer. You're their Mickey and they're Rocky.
Maybe you're right. Maybe I ain't got it no more.
All right, then don't you waste my time no more. You hear that? Go away. Go back to the docks where you belong. You go back to being a two-bit nothing. But don't you ever come back here again, because I'm too old to waste my time trying to train a no-good loser like you.
You're Obi-Wan Kenobi to their, well, not Anakin, because that didn't go well.
You were the chosen one. You were my brother Anakin. I loved you.
But Luke Skywalker, I mean, I don't really know what the new movie's going to tell us, but so that could go wrong too. You're their Sylvester Stallone in that movie about arm wrestling from the 80s.
It's time to go to work, kid.
Yeah.
Whatever, you get what I'm saying here. You're the teacher. You have to teach them how to learn sometimes. And maybe that's just the bigger lesson. Maybe the bigger lesson is we have to stop assuming what we think the kids know. Like, just assume they don't know anything, and then you'll be less disappointed. Because that's going to ultimately help you to meet kids where they are and to bring them up to where they should be, instead of just like expecting them to be somewhere or making them feel bad about not being good enough or something like that. You know, the whole neighborhood's in my house right now. That's why I'm in the shed, and now I hear them coming out back. They always want to be with me. Even the Beast. Beast is out there scratching on the door. Can't. I'm making gold right now. Can't be disrupted. Last thing I want to address really quickly is, man, I have so much great stuff coming up that I'm going to tell you about, but I'm going to wait until it's like actually happening so that I can like share it with you. Because I don't want to be that guy that talks about that thing that's going to happen in a few months and I have to talk about it 97 times. So there's cool stuff coming up. But I will say, like my old friend Reese out there mentioned in a comment last week, the mojo's coming back, right? It was the beginning, it was a tough start to the year, and I had some other tough stuff that's been going on, but like overall, like we're coming back. We're coming back strong. I had something that happened in the last 2 weeks that I want to tell you about, just so that you know, so maybe you want to get in on this. Someone from the University of Colorado in Colorado Springs reached out to me about doing a speaking event, flying out to the University of Colorado and then giving a talk there. And I thought, I have not talked about the fact that this is a thing that I do. I have a couple of speaking events coming up in the next few months in colleges in Philadelphia, colleges in New Jersey, and this is something that I want to get into even more because I just think there's such value in like sharing ideas and giving people a place to like have a dialogue about education and what it means to them and what their classrooms could potentially look like or how they could change things in their classrooms. I just really, really love doing it. So if you're out there, if you watch these videos and you're like, oh, that might be cool to have Reynolds. I mean, you might be sitting there going, dude, there's no way I would ever bring this guy in. He's weird as hell. But you know, if you do think that it would bring value to you or to your staff or to the teachers in your school or district, go ahead and let the people that make those decisions know. And if you show them a video or you talk to them about some of my stuff, or maybe you make the call, just email me, DM me, send me a message, and I'll get back to you right away, and we can try and figure something out. That's it for this week. When you go in tomorrow, if that kid doesn't have his homework done, just remember, you can still be strict with those kids. You can still take no nonsense, but then you can help them figure out how to do better the next time. That's it, guys. Thanks as always. You're the greatest. Peace.